14,000 of my inactive YouTube subscribers. How's it going? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Will Emma reach her 2015 peak on YouTube once again? The answer is no. Today I'm rebranding myself as a bullet journal YouTuber, which is already far better than a morning routine YouTuber or a what's on my iPhone 6 YouTuber. If it's up to me, I say we're taking a step in the right direction. This year I started my first ever bullet journal, which I don't know why I didn't start this earlier because I fit right into the kind of person that does bullet journals, as in I have a strong tendency to waste my time. So the bullet journal that I have is the Moleskine dotted notebook. It has 192 pages and it's 7.5 inches by 9 3/4 of an inch. I also wanted to mention the pens and markers that I use. I use the Crayola Super Tips to color in anything. And the pens that I use are the Muji Gel Ink Ballpoint pen. I use both the .38 and the .5, mainly the .38 to write everything. In the case where mistakes happen, I use whiteout, that's the original Tombow mono correction tape. Today I will be taking you through a half a year's work of a bullet journal, as well as taking you through a completion of the month of June, as it is currently the month of June. However, this video will not be coming out in June due to my regularly scheduled procrastination of editing anything that has to do with myself due to my deep-rooted hatred of fashi zero nistaemgal. Starting out with the cover, I have on here a sticker that my dad actually got for me a couple Christmases ago that just says my name in Japanese. So if we get right into it, start out with the first page just saying what year it is. It's 2021, guys, if you didn't know. I colored the background of the block numbers with the color themes that I want to use in the bullet journal this year. Then onto the next page, I just drew the year calendar and used the same color themes. Oh boy. So the page next to the year calendar, I had planned to make it a memories page, and then it just slowly turned into a list of things that I hate a lot. And then I realized that the majority of things that I hate are fonts, so that started its separate list. This is where all my time goes. So this is one of my favorite spreads. I wanted to keep track of all the media intake that I have during the year. So books read, movies watched, song of the month, so it's my most listened to song of each month. I write it down, so I should have a total of 12 songs by the end of this year written down in this phone design. And then also podcast listened to, so whether it's started or ended, or it's an ongoing podcast. This year, my goal is to read 20 books before I turn 20, which I know is not a lot of books, but if you're someone that takes 4 hours writing down fonts that they hate and why, you understand why I don't have time to read books. So on the spine of each book, I wrote down the title of the book, author, the date that I finished the book, and also a rating out of 10. For the movies watched, I color in a rating scale, so whether I liked the movie or it was a mediocre movie or I just didn't really like the movie that much, I color it accordingly. Okay, this is my favorite page of all. I wanted to express my New Year's resolutions in a very creative way to show who I wanted to be this year, and I drew it in sort of a way that looks like an art museum with placards that are under the picture to explain what the picture is all about. On the next page, I wanted to keep track of my interests, so I'll just draw in any new interests that I form over the year. In the top left corner of the page, I have an interest that I will always have. Oh, hello on Broadway. It is the most wonderful thing you will ever see in your entire life. And I would like to formally address here in this video that I totally have not seen this 378 times, and I totally have not memorized the entire thing, and I totally do not have the transcript open up in a tab in my Safari at all times. I don't. Ignoring that, last replaced, I want to keep track of the last time I replaced my contacts, my contact case, and toothbrush just so I can keep myself on track. I am keeping track of the runs that I run during the year. I'm a very avid runner. Currently, I'm running 4 to 5 miles every single day. Wanted to draw it in sort of a sidewalk fashion, so you'll see people like running and walking their dog along this little sidewalk that I drew. And I color in each of the squares. One square represents one day. I color in based on the amount of miles that I run. Education tracker, I wanted to write down the requirements of all my majors and my minors. And I wrote it in sort of a sticky note and notepad fashion to keep with the whole school theme. Next is a spread that I kind of gave up on. It's me tracking my gratitude for the year. So I wanted to draw little things that just made me happy or I'm just grateful to have in my life. And I would just honestly forget about it. If a spread doesn't work out, don't be down on yourself. Now we're getting into the monthly spreads. So every month I draw one page of just like this artistic way to draw the title of the month. And then also a what's happening page. So I write down for each day one sentence of things that have happened during that day. I actually got this idea from a friend of mine from my Japanese class. Shout out to you, Peikon-san. So for January, I drew it in sort of a cloud theme and also a wave. Next, I have my monthly spread. I'm not very proud of the way that this looks, but you know, I was just really getting into it at the first time. For the months, I have a sort of habit tracker, which I kind of fell out through the year because I didn't really like tracking my habits. I didn't really find any benefit to it, but if you like the idea of tracking your habits, that's very common in bullet journaling. I also tracked more songs that I liked during the year. I have a January playlist and just drew the little album covers of the songs that I listened to most during the month. This is my first ever spread. I hate it. I'm just gonna briefly go through some of these spreads. I'm not gonna dwell on them a lot because I don't like the majority of them, but that is okay. This one's even worse. I hate it. I also hate this one very much. This one was the first week of college, so I started my spring semester. The only thing I like about it is how I drew my textbooks sitting on top of each other with a plant on top. Okay, this one's actually a good one. I drew it in sort of a notepad fashion. A common thing that I do during weekly spreads is I do a 3x2 structure, so I have 3 days going across and 2 days going down to keep track of the things that I need to do during the day. I also liked to keep track on a whole different page the homework that I had to do, just so I could keep it a part of the daily task, because often homework carries on to several days. As the month was coming to a close, I wanted to draw a little refrigerator in the corner to keep track of foods that I tried. I really wanted to use this to reflect, but it kind of failed. I think it's good to just have a couple spreads open just so you can just write down whatever you need, because creativity can keep you in a box. Next, we have the month of February. This month I basically only drew pink. Having Valentine's Day in the month, everything is pink and red associated, so why not? This is my monthly spread. 4 main habits that I wanted to track were my exercise, Bible study, of flossing my teeth, and wiping down my phone. I hate the spread. I'm not even gonna dwell on it. I also hate this spread just equally. Okay, this is the only good thing that really came out of February, I feel like. This was the week of my first Japanese midterm, and I wanted to write the entire week in all Japanese. I have been learning Japanese since 5th grade. Just because I've been learning it for 10 years does not mean that I have retained anything, so I'm really holding out and hoping that I can become fluent one day. Everything I did in March, I absolutely loved. I really kept with this chartreuse color. So I kept the same thing, creative coloring of the month of March. What's happening during the month? Then this is my monthly spread. I tracked more habit trackers in here. Read a book and drink 2 jugs of water. So this weekly spread, I did sort of a clipboard style drawing where I had a silver marker and colored in the little clip part of a clipboard. This one I did an ivy theme where I had like a little plant pot at the top and just had vines just growing out of the pot to frame around. This one was very simple, just used the same color schemes that I used during March, the chartreuse color and this little purple color. And in the space I had left, I just kind of did random doodles and whatnot. The next week I did just the same thing where I really liked the way that I drew the month of March, the title of March, and April! So for April I did a sort of web design where I made little pop-up windows, wrote April like 27 times, and wrote in Japanese haru, which means spring. Now this monthly spread is just absolutely atrocious. I also, for the first weekly spread, tried to keep with the web design. I also failed to mention before that with each weekly spread, I tried to write the month, the days that are within the week that I'm planning, and also a little calendar at the top. This one, I'm not even gonna dwell on it. I hate it. I hate it so much. I wish it didn't exist. This one I did completely around clouds. Spread actually helped me a lot to plan out for finals because I was kind of spiraling with all the work that I had to do, and I just needed to see a calendar that just had the end in sight for the semester. And for May, I have this spread. I did it in sort of a desktop computer design to display that it is the month of May. I got inspiration for this from a picture on Pinterest. I get a bunch of my inspiration from Pinterest. If you would like to take a look at the board that I have, I can link it down below. I also used a sort of notepad design to draw what I have going on during the month. This is my favorite monthly spread, hands down. I love it so much. I got my guitar drawn, I sort of got a little bookshelf going on, got my skateboard. I've got my cranes because when I moved to college, the room that I used when I was up in college, I had these cranes that I named after New York City mayors, as one does. I just got so much going on here. I've got rugs going on here. I've got a whole shelf of plants and photos and cameras. My goodness, why did I spend so much time on this? So the reason why this looks just so bad is because it was LDOC. It was the last day of college, and I just was so swamped with finals and stuff that I didn't even really have a lot going on. I didn't even plan 1 week. So I just wrote, you know, let's pretend that I planned the week of May 10th through 16 here. And when I moved home, I did not have a lot going on. I just was like, yeah, I need to write something down for the week. Let's just have at it. We'll do some colors. This one is very cool. I really like this spread. I drew it as notebook paper. I find that a lot of my designs have to do with like notepads and clipboards and note paper. I guess I'm very studious. What can I say? And that is everything that I've done in my bullet journal so far. So what we can do now is we can plan the month of June. I've had an idea of what I want my June layout to look like. I think I may draw like a side profile of like a tote bag, and then on the tote bag I'll write June. Just made it look incredibly worse. I fixed it off camera because I was getting scared that the skin tone was looking like a shirt sleeve and not skin tone. It still looks bad, but you know, from far away, it kind of looks okay. So that's really what matters. Okay, moving on to what I have going on. Hey Siri, how many days are in June?
I can't get the answer to
what?
that.
And that's how I start off my spread. I hope that I inspired you to create a bullet journal, and you know what? You don't even have to wait until the beginning of next year to start a bullet journal. Just go ahead and buy one. It's a great way to be organized and a great place to express your creativity. I find that I need to have just some outlet to be creative every single day. Because where else would I do that? Making YouTube videos? No. If you would like to subscribe, don't. You know what? It's fine. You know what? If you want to. If you want to. Subscribe, I guess. The pillow has resurrected from the grave. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful day and stay creative, everyone. All right, fashi 0 nistaemgal out.